If you call yourself an alpha woman or alpha male, stop it. Because apparently you're the loudmouth in the room. You're the blowhard in the room that can't do shit.
What I want to point out is, masculinity in the African American race. When I was, I think I was 20 something, and I was working somewhere, and the guy in my same working space was a black guy, right? And we were talking about how he's like, when black men see each other, they like mean mug each other when they walk by. Like that's the kind of greeting. It's not like a, hey, what's up, or how you doing? It's like you have to mean mug the person when you're walking by them. And I'm like, what, really? He's like, yeah, that. I'm like, to me, that is so unhealthy. Why
Yeah.
that you gotta walk by someone and give them a mean face, like, you know?
Yeah,
But
I do.
what you say, Frank?
I do. I know that. I know that part. I know that all too well. Walk by somebody bugs you. Like, why are you looking at me like that, bro? I ain't doing nothing to you.
Now, why is it? Does it seem like there's a competitive type thing among black men?
Yes, men are going to be competitive. Now there's a difference between competitiveness and I'll call it toxic competitiveness.
Yes.
Because now see, I don't mind competing with anybody. Whether I don't mind competing against another guy. If it's something that I want, like a job or an opportunity to do something, of course I'm gonna compete. I'm gonna give it my all to try to get that. Now, if I lose and I don't get it, I'm I'm gonna be just as gracious in defeat as I am in victory. What I mean by the toxic competitiveness is that when now you're screwing people over to get to a certain level. Now you fucking folks over. Now you're just really just making enemies where you should make friends. If now I don't the simple I don't want to climb over anybody to get to a specific spot. That's not how I operate.
So what do you
Some guys like to do that because they feel they call themselves the ultimate competitor, and that's cool. That's cool, bro. You keep that over there. I'm cool with that.
that's the thing is
But
that what do you think that stems from? That whole mean mugging somebody, that whole division, that whole competitiveness about black people, that it seems like it's not working together. It's like, why would I see you as another black man and have to give you like this mean look to make you feel like, I'm not the one to mess with, or I'm superior, or hey, this is my black, or this is my woman, or whatever the hell reason they do it for. Like, what do you think that stems from?
insecurity.
Mm,
That's the first word that pops in my mind. Insecurity. If
mm.
you're insecure about somebody taking your spot or taking your woman or taking anything that you own, then you never really were secure in having it. If you're so worried about it, if you worry about somebody taking your spot, I don't want your spot. I could care less about your spot. I don't need your spot. I admire your spot. I respect you in your spot, but do I want it? No. Am I gonna fuck you over to get it? No. Am I gonna walk over you to get it to obtain it? No. I respect your spot. I'm not gonna purposely put myself in a position to where I have to get an active competition with you over something that I essentially don't even want or don't even want to aspire to at the moment.
And I think that again, going full circle, I feel like this is what we have to talk about. This is not masculinity. Like all this talk about alpha male, alpha this, alpha that. Like a
Oh,
true
Lord.
alpha is known as such. You don't have to open your mouth and say I'm an alpha. You don't have to come and be mean to other men and be boastful and be the loudest person in the room for you to come off as the strongest. Like you were saying earlier, it's your qualities, it's your attributes. People will define you as such based on who you are. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing.
Look, for sure, and I agree. And let's just let's just put the alpha male thing. Let's just put that to rest because
Okay.
Let's just put that to rest, y'all. Because brothers, men, my brothers, please. I want y'all to hear me and hear me very, very well. Alpha, beta, male, female mentality. Let's dead that. Because you're basing a mentality or a way of thinking or a mindset off the behavior of pack animals. What? What are you doing? We're we're animals, yes, but we're not pack animals. We're social creatures, yes, but we don't operate in packs. We don't operate in prides. We don't operate in pods or anything like that. Like animals do. We are like I said, we are animals, but we're not pack animals. We don't we don't operate in a social structure known as a pack. We don't operate like that. Let's just get that plain and simple out of there now. We don't operate in that particular type of thing. If you call yourself an alpha woman or alpha male, stop it. Because apparently you're the loudmouth in the room. You're the blowhard in the room that can't do shit.
Oh, hey, well. Mhm.
I'm like, because look, I don't have to. And I'm saying this because I know there's gonna be some people in the chat that's gonna rail against this. I'm saying this that I don't have to be the biggest or the baddest person in the room to make an impact.
That's right.
I don't have to be the loudest person in the room to make an impact.
That's
Let that sit in your thought process. Let that marinate for a moment.
that's
I don't
right.
got to be the biggest guy in the room. I'm not the biggest dude in the room. I'm what every bit of 6 feet at about 195. So, and I don't have to be the loudest person in the room to make an impact.
Mhm.
I speak. I speak. I try to speak very softly what I can as much as I can because I know when I do get animated, my voice I get loud and my voice projects. So I don't try to do that. I try to speak as softly as I can because sometimes it's better to be seen and not heard.
Mm. Yes, let your works and the way you are and the quality of person you are define you as a human. So now I wanted to switch over to, because some folks believe that there's been an effort to kind of feminize men. If you see the things going on, the TV shows, I even myself having a daughter and watching the different shows that are on now, I noticed that so many of the so you'll see the kids in the show, the Fuller House or whatever, different shows that are,
Yeah.
and you look at the girls in the show, they'll be tougher and able to deal with things in the show. And you look at the boys and you see that they're very quote unquote feminine, let's say. They're, offended easily. They are when they can't handle the task that they're giving. A lot of emotional issues. And you'll see that a lot of the women are, even the way they dress and their mannerisms, the girls will have more of the quote unquote traditional male attire. Her mannerisms will be like a more tough approach. The guys will be on the softer tone, more kind of girly feminism mannerisms. And I'm looking like, again, I am not with the whole, toxic masculinity or toxic femininity because I think that's something too. But it's like when I look at things now, it's like, wow, things are really changing. And I don't know if it's a reflection of society or is it a programming type thing that's going on? Do you have any
Both.
thoughts about that, Fred?
Both. Both. So let's just society at large. So speaking about us as black men, so we have always been behind the eight ball. This is due to a plethora of socio political malfactors that are always present with us. Um, whether it's single motherhood, whether it's absentee fathers, whether it's the mindset of that we are, whether it's the mindset that we're always criminal, we're always violent, and we have violent tendencies. We don't take care of our women, we don't take care of our kids. Um, we're the we're the most jailed and the least we're the most jailed and the least employed and we're the least respected. We're the least respected by our women. But those are the socio-political malfactors that are up against us. That's number one. So, and then number two, social media and media at large portrays doesn't doesn't portray the strong male figure, especially the strong black male figure, um, like that. They usually portray the black male husband as someone who is not all what that is somewhat subservient to the wife, which is in a marriage you're supposed to be subservient to each other, but the husband's a little bit more reserved, um, not really doesn't always say a lot or things of that nature. Um, I'd say a lot of Tyler Perry's movies have
Mm,
done a lot to that. That a lot has spoken to a lot of that trope. Strong black female with a weak male supporting role, or or maybe in a male role that's more of more abusive, or a weaker male role. A good example movie of that is the Family That Prays. That's a good example of that. Um, so it's media, it's society at large, it's media and society at large. Also, social media, um, YouTube, TikTok, all it's they downplay the masculinity part of it. That wasn't downplay, but they speak about it in terms to where it for a lot of people, especially me, it becomes unsavory, because now you're saying that in order for me to be masculine, I gotta do this. In order for me to be masculine, I gotta do that. Or in order for me to be this rah rah dude, I gotta beat the fuck out of 10. I gotta beat the fuck out of 10 dudes. Come on, man, no. Or and the one thing you did mention, and I want to, before we even jump, I want to talk about the toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. Masculinity and femininity are not toxic. It is the people that are toxic. It's the people that operate like that are toxic. Masculinity and femininity are very pure. Let's not get that twisted. It is the individuals that are toxic.
mm,
So if I'm a man, and I'm gonna add I'm gonna man if I'm a man if I am a man, and I'm supposed to be a masculine man, then I should act appropriately, not in this crazy nature to where I'm putting everybody down, or where I'm talking bad about people, or where I always want to engage in violence with people. That's not masculinity. That's that's just toxic behavior. So people say, well, toxic man, no, let's take away masculinity from the word toxic.
toxic is toxic.
Basically, it doesn't matter whether it's male or female. It's not masculine or feminine. It's the person that's toxic, not not the word. Let's take away masculinity and femininity from that word. Just leave it at toxic. You're just a toxic person. So
Do you
yeah, but
think that
social
there's
media and all they play huge roles in.
So that's the question is what is there to gain? If I'm making all of, these movies, shows, or what have you portray, men in a certain light or women in a certain light or male and female, what are they to gain from this? Is there an effort to break up? Because that's what some people feel is to break up the family unit, especially in the Black community. If we don't
Oh,
have
hell
male,
yeah.
yeah, if we don't have the male there, we don't have the family.
Oh,
You
hell
know,
yeah. But that started like in the 70s and 80s. That started way before that. That particular mission is still in play. Now, a lot of people are gonna disagree with me when I say this, but during the Jim Crow era, during the Jim Crow era, which is, we all know what that is. For those who don't know what Jim Crow is, that's back in the 50s and 60s, to where we were segregated. During the Jim Crow era, Families were stronger, more bonded, more together. When the advent of social services such as welfare, TANF, food stamps, Medicaid, all this stuff. When all that stuff came to play, and also forgot about Section 8. All this stuff came into play. Oh, we'll give you this stuff under one condition. You have to your son, your kid's father can't be in the home if it's Section 8. You can't you have to effectively erase your black father out of the picture. We'll give you all this stuff, but you have this. That's the condition it has to be satisfied up under. And that's the one thing that's one of the things that is that's really really been the separating factor. But also, um, the modern feminist movement did a doozy on a lot of black women. And I'm not saying I'm not saying that I'm not saying you in particular. I'm just saying a lot of black women because of the simple fact that when other races of women went to stand on their soapbox and speak their piece and speak their grievances, black women joined them in that thing, in that particular movement. Now, when other races of women got off the soapbox, went back home to their husbands,
Mm.
black women stayed on the soapbox. And they made it now it's like now they made it more of a thing. Like and they said and a lot of people rail against me when I say that, but I always say it because the modern feminist movement was a movement that black women should have never participated in because not saying it wasn't their movement to participate in, but y'all black women went to go support other races of women on their soapbox, but now they go back to their husbands now that now the black women have the megaphone and no other now other races of women are not out there to support them on that. And now black women are on an island and they have to maintain the appearance of being on the soapbox. You know, that is a thing that's another blow to masculinity, honestly speaking, because now it introduces the strong, independent woman type that say, I don't need a man for this, I don't need a man for that. Well, hate to break it to you, sweetheart, but that house you own, that car you drive, uh, that was the street you ride on, the building you walk into to go to work. Um, all these things, those are the infrastructure that is made up of these United States of America and the world. I can guarantee you 90% of that was built by a dude. So you can't so women say they don't need a man. Yeah, you do. Because
Mm.
simple fact of the matter is a lot of the stuff that's been built, a lot of things that have been built or that we use was either invented by a man or built by a man. Not and this not to take away from women inventors and builders and things of that nature, because I give credit, because I give equal credit where credit is due. But for the most part, a lot of this stuff was created
So
or built by a dude.
you bring up a point that I feel like many men share, especially nowadays, how, feminism has affected the male and female dynamic, especially in relationships.
Yeah.
How do you think that is affecting how masculinity is defined? If women are like, hey, I'm a strong black woman, I don't necessarily need a guy to be in my life. How is that affecting men? How do you think men are reacting to that, especially when it comes to relationships?
Because now some of these women are saying that are trying to define masculinity on what they think a man is supposed to do or a man is supposed to be. Um, and the first thing women go to is provider. Okay, I get that. I get that wholeheartedly. I don't have an issue with that. But there's more to it than that, man. It is. It's more to it than just provider. You guys. I mean, again, I'm not saying you, but women say that they want a provider, they want a protector. Okay, that but there are two other P's that go with that. If you don't have children, if you want to have children, there's procreation. If there's something that's going on and that needs to be solved, problem that needs to be solved, and you can't necessarily solve it, or you're stumped with it, there's problem solving. But and again, it's when I don't know if it. And again, this is like one of those questions that always tends to kind of get me in a tight a little bit. Not upset or not angry, but just well, it doesn't cause me to think because my mind's always my mind's always going. But it gets me to the point to where it's not on you. It's not you, Nicole. It's just
I know. I know.
when people ask it, it's like it's not irritating, but it's frustrating
Mhm.
because when I as a man have tried if I as a man have tried to tell a woman what my masculinity is, or what my masculinity is, or who I am as a man, and then there's you there's a there you rail against that, or you say, well, that's not a man. Well, I just told you who I am as a man. So now, you wanted me to paint broad strokes. I'm painting a much less narrower picture because because I can't speak for every man.
Mhm.
I can only speak for me. And the one thing that I like about the is because being the person that I'm with, we don't have those differences like that. I know who she is as a woman. She knows who I am as a man. We we both know our shortcomings. We both know our strengths. So it works because where she's weakest, I'm strongest, and vice versa. And
Mhm.
though we have our disagreements and our differences of opinions, it's all good because at the end of the day, we can come together and still love on each other, and still respect each other, and still give each other what we both need as far as physical, emotional, and mental. I think when women say, "Well, I'm strong and independent, I don't need you," okay, that's fine. Do you, but then, but if you're telling me that you don't need me, then if you telling me that you don't need me, then you have no say of what masculinity is. If you don't need a man, you have no say in trying to define what a man is or saying what masculinity is. If you're gonna say that, if you're gonna put yourself in that category, then X yourself out of this conversation
Mhm.
because you don't gotta say you don't need a man. Remember, you don't want him. You don't have any want or any inclination to have a man in your life. Remember, that's kind of one of the ways I would approach that. If you don't need a man, then don't talk. Then don't say that this dude ain't masculine because you don't damn know, because you don't know what masculinity is, or you were given some screwed up definition by another woman, or somebody who doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. Somebody who doesn't know, or another man or woman that don't know what the hell they're talking about. You don't need
So
to
I
put yourself
love
in that conversation. Go.
that. So I think that's a great way to kind of close out the conversation about just how do you define no, meaning like how do you define masculinity? Like, is there a definition of masculinity? Or is it in the attributes, the person you are, as opposed to, being all rough and tough, like traditionally think of as? Is it like how you have your relationship where, hey, we just make it work. Whoever is better in this, we balance each other out. There's no really solid, you must do this as a woman, I must do this as a man, you know? So I think it's just a great discussion for people to challenge what they define as masculinity and what
The first,
society might be putting upon them
right,
as what masculinity should be, and to open your eyes.
right.
Are some of the things we're thinking really healthy when we think of family? We want the mother, the father, and the children in the home. Are our
Yep.
definitions of masculinity, do some of them need to change? for the sake of the family and the future. So put your comments in the chat. I'd like to know, what do you define masculinity as? What are your thoughts on this whole discussion? And let me know if you guys want us to do a live on this, like get some other folks in the room and have a great, discussion live where you guys will join, okay? Because it is a lot. It's a big topic and it's really deep and it just spreads over so many parts of our lives, and it's a good question to ask, especially nowadays. Thank you, Fred, so much for being on
My
this show.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah, it was really good conversation, Fred. Tell folks again where they can find you at.
Oh yes, please. Thank you so much. First of all, Nicole, thank you so very much. Thank you. Big shout out to my comfy couch for allowing me to come on here and just just have a great conversation with you. You guys can find me. You guys can find us, Trailblazer Radio. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch. We're on LinkedIn. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. We have a website, www.trailblazers with a Z radio.com. We're on Spotify. We're on so many things. We're on Spotify. We are on
We
excuse me, Amazon Music. We're on Google Podcasts. We're
love
on
it.
we're pretty much most of the major streaming radio, most of the major streaming platforms.
Platform.
Um,
Yeah.
Now the one thing I will tell you about, I am creating a station on a radio station on Station Head. There's going to be going to be music and some talk, a lot of music, a little bit of talk. So you guys keep your ears and eyes, keep your eyes open for that. I'll let you guys know. I'll let everybody know about that here in the coming weeks. So man, again, Nicole, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much to you and your team, and big shout out to my comfy couch for having me on and just allowing and just having a nice free flow of conversation, man. I appreciate this.
Oh, thank you, Fred. And I do appreciate you just being so honest and sharing your experiences and, just being truthful about how you feel. Like, that's what the show is about. People just really expressing themselves without judgment and having those tough conversations to really being impactful to our community. So thank you so much, Fred. And thank you all for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time on My Comfy Couch. Toodles.